So if you do, let's say, a radiated cop. Oh, no. Okay. Let's pretend that didn't happen. We don't want to have 25 of these ones. That would be a little bit too much. And welcome, Survivor or Base Builder. This is going to be another guide in 7 Days to Die Alpha 17, 17.1 to be more accurate. And we're going to be covering the shotgun turret. Now, the shotgun turret has, since its introduction in Alpha 16, been the probably best, the highest level, the most advanced base defense trap that you can actually craft and use. Yes, I know the auto turret has a higher tier level, but I would say the shotgun turret has always, at least for Alpha 16, done a much better job of killing the zombies. Alpha, auto turret has been, not too bad, but the shotgun turret has just been wasting the zombies left and right and center much more than the auto turret. So I definitely prefer the shotgun turret. Now, there are some changes for Alpha 17. There hasn't been a lot of changes to the electricity items in general, but there's been some tweaks, as for instance, there's different perks around, and there's some bugs that have come back from Alpha 16 that I think were removed, but then were reintroduced in Alpha 17, so some old friends. Now, let's look at the actual progression here, and as you can see, and I put this up, and this is the XML from the game and the config files, you require the advanced engineering, and you need to have the progression level 4, which requires a level of 80. So it's fairly advanced as far as crafting. As you can see, at tier 4, you can craft the shotgun turret, the rocket launcher, and the nail gun. So you probably want to get to there anyway, especially if you want to look at the auger and chainsaw at tier 5. But shotgun only requires tier 4, and I still think that they should have switched them around so that auto turret is tier 4 and shotgun turret is tier 5. But I guess they feel that the auto turret is so much better than the shotgun turret. I disagree, but that's fine. And let's first have a look at the shotgun turret in the XML files. And this is the shotgun turret that you place down. The first one I want to look at is the ammo item. As you can see, it's the usual shotgun shell that you craft. And that's the same ammunition that you use for your normal shotguns. Not the slug, but the regular shotgun shells. You also have the max distance, 15 meters or 15 blocks. So it's not a long range weapon by any means. It's fairly short range. You want to take that into account when you place it. You also have the entity damage of 6, and that looks really, really low. And if you look at the shotgun, it has a similar low value. And some people get thrown off this one because you also have to look down at a few lines where it says ray count, value 10. What does this mean? It means that there are effectively 10 rays, and actually it's the shotgun pellets, 10 pellets that are being fired. So if all of them hit, you get 10 times 6, which means 60 damage for a body shot. So that's pretty good. Of course, all might not be hitting, but that's the base damage if all of them hit. So some could hit one zombie, and some of them could hit another zombie next to it, or just the blocks. But it means that it has a fairly high max damage value. So every shot has 10 pellets. You also can look at the block damage is 1, which is not extremely high, but it will start damaging your base and the blocks around it eventually. Another thing to take into account is the ray spread, and this is 5.2 degrees. So you look at the cone, and it says that 1 meter cone has the 55% to hit at 11 meters. So the further away it is, the more the pellets spread out through the cone. So shorter distance means more of them will hit the target. And of course, some of the pellets are going to hit on the side otherwise. You can look at the burst round count, which is effectively the amount of shots it can get off before it has to reload or cool down a little bit, which is 4, and it's every 0.61 seconds. Then it has a 2-second cooldown time, which means that it'll be shooting for 4 times 6.1 or 0.61, which is 2.4 something seconds, and then it'll halt for 2 seconds. So you'll see that when it fires later on, it'll shoot 4 times, pause, and then it'll shoot again. In line with the other Alpha 17 changes, there is no specific headshot damage property in the XML file. It seems to all be hard-coded, which is a little bit of a pity. It was easy to have that different for different weapons, and you can see how much it was for this specific item or weapon, but they've removed that, and I think it's all hard-coded, and it's all the same for all the weapons, which I think is a little bit weird, but it is how they've changed it. I wish that was one of the values, though. So one of the big changes is that for the shotgun turrets, there's no longer any shotgun buff being procced on the zombies when they get hit. In Alpha 16, and you can see that there's actually a commented out property, the buff shotgun wound 1. Now in Alpha 16, this meant that there was a chance that every shot would stagger or slow down a zombie. So they would take the damage and they would also slow down. And that could be really helpful if you wanted to shoot them yourself. It would slow down the horde. So if you had running ferals, radiated, or dogs or wolves, they would slow down. And I think that was kind of realistic because that's what the normal shotgun does. For some reason, they have removed this in Alpha 17. Maybe they couldn't make it to work. Maybe they decided that it was overkill. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a pity because they made it different than the auto turret, which only did straight damage. The shotgun turret also slowed them down, and I really like that feature of it. Now, there is some bugs that have been associated with the turrets overall. One of the most serious ones is that they seem to target through blocks. And why is this an issue? Well, if there are blocks in the way of the zombies, the turrets will, maybe not always, but they can target the zombies behind and they will start blasting away. So that will damage your blocks, the walls that you have, and it will also waste a lot of ammo. And it was one of the issues that they had in early Alpha 16 that I believe they fixed. But it seems that they've reintroduced that one. Hopefully it's something that will fix really soon. It depends on how you place it. If you place it behind walls where it could theoretically have a cone of fire or cone of visibility that includes zombies behind walls, you might want to take care. But if you're sort of just covering an open ground, it's a little bit easier because you don't have this issue. But it's something to really take into account when you're placing down your turrets. As you can see, I'm here in my newly built testing tunnel, I suppose. So let's get out of here and let's look at how we're going to craft it. So we need a workbench. And of course, let me just show the perks here. And as you can see, Advanced Engineering, it is number 4. You need to make sure you have that one. You go into the workbench, you type turret, and let's do a shotgun turret. It requires 40 forged steel. So you require steel level, of course. Some mechanical parts, which is easy. Duct tape is easy. Scrap polymers is also easy. You do need the motion sensor to build it as well, but that one is fairly easy to do as well. So let's start with the turret. I'll be crafting, of course, I have a few of them here already, so I'm not going to wait for that one to complete. Now, placement. So what I've done here, there's a few ways to place it. One is to shooting outwards, one is to shoot inwards, and one is to shoot across. Now they have different pros and cons. In this case, let me do it so I'm shooting this way. This means I can cover this arc in front, and if they're coming, they will shoot. If you're shooting towards you, and some people like to have that, they like to place it down, let's say, like this. Oh, not like this, of course. Of course, I turn it, okay, like this. Some people like to do it like this, and you'll see that it actually covers sort of this area, which is pretty good because it means that as soon as they get past, they start getting headshotted and they deal damage, and even regardless of where they're standing here, the shotgun turret will be able to target them. The downside is, of course, if you're standing here and there's a zombie in front of you, you might start taking damage as well because some of the pellets might be hitting you, and of course that's not what you want to have. Another way you can do it is that you can place them maybe set into the wall, something like this, and of course you have to angle it the proper way so that it's covering in front of your other walls. But you have to take a little bit of into account here is that depending on how you aim it, it's not going to hit anywhere below it and slightly in front of it. So you might have to set it off. It doesn't work very well like here in the corridor, but if it's like outside of a wall or something, you could set it like another 5 blocks this way and cover this whole area. But of course, if it's so close like this, it doesn't really work very well. And then having it inside is probably the best way to do it. Now you hook it up the usual way. So let me do this. Let me do this and give it some power. Oops. Let me turn on the generator and switch it on. And you can see it takes 15 watt, and you can verify that here, 15 output. Now you hit E to interact, and let's look at all these things. So what are this? This is the targeting. Do you want to target yourself or not? Probably not. Allies? Probably not, but you can target strangers and you can target the zombies. You also have the ammo, and we're going to pop in 250 times 3, which is the max 750, which will last a fair while. Make sure you lock the ammo, otherwise it will not be firing. Camera preview, and this is where you can aim it. So you left click here as well. You'll get up this one. It'll show you roughly where it will be targeting. So I can target myself and that'll be painful. And of course, you can actually shoot manual as well. If you left click, you shoot, and now it's reloading. Okay, now it's back to shooting. So I'm going to aim it around here, and I'm going to just escape out. And let me just verify. Okay, like this. Okay, so now it's aiming. You saw it's actually chaining is going down, and roughly this is what you can do. So if they get too close here, like if I use this one and try to aim in front of the bars here, they would probably be fine if they were around here, but if they were too close here, that might not, depending of course how high it is. So this works pretty well. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you have a length line block down, like now I cannot pick it up, but if I put this one down, and I show you with this one, if I hold E and I use this one, I can pick it up. So that's quite useful to know, but you have to make sure you have an active line claim block. Now, this one is all primed, ready to go. So what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be spawning in some zombies here. But before I do that, one thing you want to take into account is that this one has only 1,000 hit points, and that's not very high. A cop exploding is going to deal at least 500 damage, sometimes more if it's a radiated or a feral cop. So you want to make sure you're protecting it. If zombies are bashing them with their fist, it's going to go down real fast, and you're going to lose not only the protection, but also the ammo. So you want to put it behind something so that it's protected. And I like the iron bars because you can target and shoot through. Of course, you can use some other blocks as well. Poles might work depending on how you place them, but generally iron bars works the best, even they only have 2,500 blocks, 2,500 hit points. It doesn't have as much as steel, unfortunately, because there are no steel bars, but at least iron bars gives you some protection. If you're putting it sideways in front of a wall, you can of course have a wall out of steel, which gives you a lot more health points, but then you have to be a bit more careful about placement. Up to you, really. So let me just put in a normal zombie, and let's do a, look at me, let's do a stripper. Whoop. And, whoops. Okay, she's not dead yet. Okay, now she, I believe, is dead. Okay, wait, maybe I turned off. What? That was a little bit faster than I wanted. So let's try that again. Let's do a zombie stripper. Why is that one radiated? Oh, it just looks radiated. Maybe it's not radiated. Okay. All right. So you see it standing here, and you'll see Ellie, she only has 125 hit points. But if I turn on, one shot, it did, let's see, 29 plus 25, so it did almost the full damage. 21.9, so it did a lot of damage, right? And if I do it again, one, and I think that was a headshot. No, that was 1, 2. So that's 3 shots to kill the zombie. So that's fairly good. So for single zombies, it does a really good job of it. Now let's see if the targeting is working well. No, right. Let's bring in 10 of them. Let's do 25. Let's see if it starts wailing away here. Now, because there are 25 of them, it might not be able to keep up because there's so many. It's definitely going to damage them, but together they have so many hit points and they do so much damage that they might actually get through here. We'll see. Yeah, they're just tearing through here. So one turret will kill, will damage, but it will not necessarily save you. And you see that here, they're just tearing through here, going through. If I had maybe 3 turrets or 4 turrets, I think that would definitely help. But just one, I don't think that's going to be enough. Maybe. I think they're almost going to be through here. Let me see if I get this one. No, they might actually be fine. Just going to take that one. They're taking the top ones first, fortunately. If they were smart enough in taking the bottom one, I think they would have already been through. But this might be fine. So one of them seem to be fine. But these are regular strippers. These are not the radiated ones or the feral ones. So the damage is not as high. But let's see how the ammo is. Oh, you see. Okay, now it's working. Oh, because I was in it, it didn't actually target. That's interesting. So keep that in mind. If you're in here, it doesn't target. So it did take out 25 of them. Not too bad, right? But again, these are low tier ones. Let me build this up again. Okay. See if I can get rid of some of these corpses that are preventing me from rebuilding. And let's do this. Rebuild. So what I want to do now, right? Let's actually, let's pause it. Let's do a radiated cop here. So radiated cops are one of the troublesome mobs that you can have because they explode. So if you do, let's say, a radiated cop. Oh, no. Okay. Let's pretend that didn't happen. We don't want to have 25 of these ones. That would be a little bit too much. So let's do one. And let's see if you start shooting here. We can actually check the damage here. 7. Oh, that's not this one. That's the wrong one. Scroll out. 800 now. It's at the top. 482. 378. Oh, and I think that last one was a nice headshot, and that's why it took out his whole head came off, and that's why it killed him. So that's something that can happen as well. It can do a massive head damage, and then it'll explode the head, and that kills the zombie regardless of hit points. I'm not really sure how that mechanic works in detail. If you know, let me know. I suspect it's got to do with a random chance and possibly even how many hit points they have left. But you see, even a normal radiated cop it can take care of. If there's more of them, it will probably end up damaging them and they'll start exploding. So just one shotgun turret might not be enough. So just for like this, it works pretty well, and it's down to what's used up only about 80 plus shotgun shells, and that's not too bad. But how does it work? Let's say you have a whole Blood Moon Horde. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to place down a bunch of turrets, and I'm going to start up let's see, a game stage. Let's see what the game stage is. We have something like 500 game stage, and I'm going to start that off, and we're going to see how it turns out with just a bunch of shotgun turrets in the Blood Moon Horde. So give me a moment, and I'll build that up. We're now at day 42, and it's almost 10 p.m., and I put down a bunch of shotgun turrets here, and that's why it's all these... and the yellow ones are basically where it's covering. That's the arc and the cones that they're firing. I put down just a single generator here to run, and I have 8 shotgun turrets, and I'm up here on a bit of a steel platform just so you can see. I have a fairly high game stage at, let's see, 511, and I have, let me put on God mode so I don't die. I also have 16 concurrent zombies, so there'll be quite a few of them coming in as well, just so you can sort of see what happens as they come in and get wasted by the shotgun turrets. So now I have 16 zombies and I have 8 turrets. I can immediately feel that the game is lagging a little bit as the turrets are all trying to track and they're all shooting at these zombies. And of course the zombies are now starting to, well, they want to damage some of the blocks here. And let me see if I can pull them away a little bit. They will get shot down by the shotgun turrets, but they're trying to destroy the blocks because I'm above them. And, whoa. But you see it's lagging, and that's one of the problems when you're having a lot of the traps in the game. They might be powerful, they'll kill the zombies, but it generates a lot of lag. It's just maybe too many calculations as all the turrets are trying to track. All the zombies are spawning in, being allocated, their memory and their entity in the game, and trying to path all the way over here. And that happens over and over again. And my FPS is probably down by half here. I'm around 25 to 35, which is really poor. But you see, the zombies don't really have any chance of getting up to me because the shotgun turrets are just wasting them. Of course, the radiated zombies, they have so many more hit points and they do so much more damage. Whoa. Okay, I guess they jumped up here. See if we can get rid of him. Nope. Okay. So they are killing the zombies, but radiated zombies have so many hit points that it takes a fair while. And we're now about 40 minutes in. I don't know how many they've killed, but there's a lot of them, and you'll just see them melt here. And with 8 of them, yeah, you can really do a lot of damage. But whatever base you have, one thing you have to take into account that if the zombies can reach, like in this case, they'll be bashing all these pillars, and if they bring the pillars down, these shotgun turrets will drop as well. Not a major problem because I have another 2 plus, well, 2 plus 2 here, 4 plus these ones, 6, that could theoretically take care of them anyway. But it shows a little bit of how powerful shotgun turrets are, but I wouldn't have too many of them. The lag might just cause too much problem. Having maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 would be enough. 8 feels like it's a little bit of overkill here. But it's a lot. You see a lot of the loot. Not that the loot is really good as well. Of course, you wouldn't make a base like this, but you could imagine have them outside of your walls, and that's usually how I do it. I place them outside of the walls, or inside is sort of your inner sanctum. And let me go here. I place them inside of my inner sanctum as well, such that if they break through, the shotgun turrets will engage and start shooting them. But if they're outside of the walls, you might want to use blade traps or dart traps, etc., or you're even bashing them with your own weapons, and only have the shotgun turret as a fallback. If they breach, turn them on, maybe use motion sensors, and otherwise just save the ammo, use the ammo yourself, because you don't get an you get no experience. Oh, and there, it took it out. You get no experience from this. So you're having a big horde. You're having a lot of destruction. You lose your 2 shotgun turrets. You're losing all the ammo, but you get no experience. And you probably can't even loot. So you might as well just save the ammo, use it yourself, and only use the turrets when really needed. But this is just a little bit of a demonstration. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time, where I'll probably be covering the auto turret. Have a good night.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.